In September of 1999, I moved to Lyman, Maine. It was an experience that would bring me closer to nature than I had ever been before. While I had always had a sort of casual relationship with my environment, finding myself surrounded on all sides by dense woods and visited daily by the many different wild animals and birds that lived there, sent me on what would become a journey of enlightenment. I began that journey in autumn, the most colorful time of the year in Maine. There, on that isolated hillside, I thrilled to a palette of colors that only nature is capable of. Walking in my own woods, or simply looking out the window, each event only added to the joy of being in that spectacular place at that time of year. As autumn faded and winter set in, I was excited by the prospect of experiencing it there. Living on a dirt road meant that I would be cut off from the reality of what lay beyond, which included still being snowed in some days, while the main roads were clear. Not only did that intensify the feeling of isolation, but heating my home primarily with wood also presented a challenge that I embraced and came to love. With 2 seasons now behind me, I was ready to welcome spring, which I knew would be spectacular in such a place. I wasn't disappointed. From the unfurling of the first new leaves on the birches and maples to the greening of everything else around me, I experienced the season of rebirth in a way that I never had before and that I had never dreamed possible. Having begun my new life in Lyman in the fall meant that the summer of 2000 would bring the curtain down on my first year there. Try as I might, I was never able to find the right words to describe the incredible lushness that greeted me each time I looked outside. Even now I can close my eyes and I am instantly back there, pleasantly lost in all that magnificent color, from the richest greens to the most regal colors of both my own garden flowers and those that grew wild all around me. With the advent of my 3rd summer in 2002, I found myself newly alone, as my partner, with whom I had enjoyed the place for a very short time, had passed away. To console myself, I turned to nature in a more intimate way and began keeping a journal of my thoughts, feelings, and impressions. It wasn't long before a local editor showed interest in it and began publishing some of those entries in his newspaper. In 2012, circumstances necessitated my leaving my beloved woods, but I continued to both seek nature out, no matter where I happened to be, and to share those thoughts through my weekly column. In 2013, I was once again back in Lyman, but in a different spot this time, overlooking the eastern shore of Wadley Pond, where I was to spend 3 of the most satisfying years of my life, and where I never lacked for inspiration for my writing. When I left there in 2015, I continued to be open to whatever nature would show me, and I decided that it was time to seek out a new path. I discontinued the weekly column and put a year's worth of those essays into book form, which I titled From the Urban Wilderness, Life in the Southern Maine Woods. Not only did that consolidate my work in one place, but it also allowed me to display my photography in full color as opposed to the black and white of newsprint. I also put together a book of short stories entitled The Sound Leaves Make and Other Stories. It's a compilation of short tales involving people who could be any one of us a family who rises above a never-ending snowstorm, a woman who devotes her life to the thankless job of raising foster children, another who takes a long walk through the wilderness as she ponders what future she has left before illness claims her, a young girl who grows up in the shadow of a small abandoned house, and another young woman who sees the sordid past inside an old woman's small handbag. All characters living inside my head who begged to be set free. If my years as a writer have taught me anything, it's that writing can be as specialized as its author wants it to be. It can focus on one theme, one genre, or it can span a literary spectrum. A writer can write romance stories, horror tales, or historical fiction. Then there are those writers who try their skills across several genres: fiction, non-fiction, essays, and poetry. I write because I must, because something I come across, be it visual or merely an idea, moves me to say something, anything about it. And because I have developed such an intimate relationship with nature, writing about it is almost second nature, pun intended, and remains my greatest love. As a form of communication, writing not only shares an author's thoughts and ideas, but it also reveals something about her. As much as each dance move, each brush stroke, or each emoted theatrical expression tells a story about its creator. All artists share not only their art, but also themselves in the process, in the hope that we will be welcomed with understanding and appreciation for what we do. I've created this video as yet another way for readers and lovers of nature and of writing to accompany me on my journey. You are also invited to visit my blogs and my new website, which can be found using the following links. Thank you for watching, and remember, when all else fails, nature never does.